Well, Charlie James is with us now. And Charlie, you've been taking a look at how this very divisive issue is being covered. Of course, a lot of people taking to social media and a lot of people offering kind of a different perspective on what we saw today.
That's right. So these hearings have been dominating social media. The world is watching and they want to weigh in themselves as well. And I brought a few photos just to show you how much this trial is being watched across America. This is a photo from a JetBlue flight from San Francisco to New York, and you can see all of the TVs in this photo trained on that hearing and on Ford's testimony, and similar sites across the country. This is from the University of Pennsylvania, with students stopping and watching in a common area there. This is a bar in Atlanta, Georgia, where normally they would be playing sports, but today everyone there watching this hearing. And this photo, taken by a reporter, a radio reporter, of a couple on a train in New York City on a metro, listening to the trial, and a lot of people pointing out how she's holding on to his arm there. Just they seem really engrossed in what's happening. So this has just really gripped the nation. And I want to also point out some things that we could not see from what was on TV. So there were 3 cameras in the hearing room. So there was a limited view of what we could see. This is a photo that was tweeted out by a New Yorker reporter showing what Christine Blasey Ford would have been looking at from her seat. So you can see there the way that she was positioned in the courtroom. She was seeing an entirely Republican, the Republican side of.
So where are the Democrats in this photo?
So the Democrats would be, so it's shaped in kind of a semicircle.
Yeah.
And so the Democrats would have been next to them. So they were there, but where she was...
But in the periphery. She's looking right at Chuck Grassley, the chairman.
This is who she's looking at. And this points to the exact reason why they hired an outside attorney or prosecutor.
It's all about the optics, wasn't it?
It's the optics here, that she's looking at an entirely male, entirely white panel of Republican senators. And there's a cartoon here that...
Rachel Mitchell,
a Pennsylvania cartoonist, made, just kind of pointing out this was one of the reasons why they wanted to hire Rachel Mitchell, was to keep from the same optics that happened at the Anita Hill hearings of a woman looking like she was being sort of put on trial by
humiliated, really, wasn't she?
Of male, and in that case, white, entirely white senators. But interesting to see what you couldn't see on TV, that she was looking at this panel that looked exactly like that. Other things you couldn't see on TV, CNN reporter MJ Lee tweeting out that as Blasey Ford emotionally describes the alleged assault, crying, you could also hear crying and see tears throughout the audience in the room. This included some politicians who were in the room. This included also the founder of the Me Too movement, Tarana Burke, who was in the hearing room, who was also reportedly in tears during the testimony. Very emotional for people. You also couldn't see the protesters outside. So there have been protesters outside the hearing room this entire time.
But they weren't allowed inside the hearing this time, is that right?
I think that I'm not sure if they weren't allowed, because members of the public were allowed. I don't think they wanted to be disruptive during her, would be my guess.
So that might be a different story when Kavanaugh
It's possible. Okay. Because members of the public are allowed in the hearing room. There were celebrities there. It's possible there will be protesters for Kavanaugh, as we saw during his first hearing, which was every day just disrupted by protesters. So there was a lot that you couldn't see on TV that was also happening, and that you could see on social media because people were tweeting and sending out pictures.
Okay, and both sides have very strong supporters, don't they, of course? And Professor Ford said it herself. As she said, she's had a horrible time with lots of death threats, and her family has been threatened, but she's also had overwhelming support. And we've seen that Kavanaugh also has people who are going to stand by him whatever happens, and whatever is said about him.
Strong support on both sides, and they are using different hashtags to show that support. For supporters of Kavanaugh, they're using the hashtag #IStandWithBrett. In order to show support and speak with each other as well. The GOP official account was using this hashtag during Blasey Ford's testimony and tweeting out videos of women who were expressing support for Kavanaugh and also attesting to his morality. So it's also being used to kind of provide a counter narrative to what Blasey Ford spoke about. Some reaction, Donald Trump's son, Donald Trump Jr., weighing in, saying, I'm no psychology professor, but it does seem weird to me that someone could have a selective fear of flying, can't do it to testify, but for vacation, well, it's no problem at all. He's talking about, of course, there, Ford saying that she preferred to drive across the country to get to this
which is why it was on Thursday, not Monday.
Right, which pushed it back as opposed to flying. However, during her testimony, she was asked by the prosecutor, Mitchell, about other trips that she had taken to fly to various places around the world. So that's something that the conservative media has latched onto a bit. There's another story that they, or another part of her testimony that they are talking about a lot, and that's when she was talking about the polygraph tests that she took and how she didn't know yet who paid for that test. So that's something also that from her testimony that right-leaning outlets are speaking about online a lot. On the other side, supporters of Ford are using the hashtag I believe Christine Blasey Ford, and a lot of emotion on this hashtag, feelings of people expressing anger, pain, and also I found this interesting, this tweet from a user named going by Feminim, saying, it makes me sick to realize that I'm feeling the same 100 emotions watching the Dr. Ford testimony that my mom felt watching Anita Hill's 27 years ago. We should be so much further along than we are. And a lot of people expressing feelings of support, but also emotion for how her testimony was making them feel. Ella Dawson saying, watching Dr. Christine Blasey Ford hold back tears already before she's even spoken is breaking my heart. This is what true heroism looks like. I am in awe of her courage and selflessness. And on both sides of the aisle, both Republicans and Democrats saying that she did come across as a very credible witness, that she did come across very emotional. And this is something that even Senator Orrin Hatch, Republican who sits on the Judiciary Committee, when he was leaving for the lunch break, he told reporters that he did not find her uncredible and that she was an attractive, good witness. Now, his office has clarified that when he said attractive, he was talking about her personality and not her looks. But it does go to show that this was a very emotional testimony. She was also, in a way, uniquely qualified to do this because she's also a psychologist.
She was basically offering expert testimony on her own.
So she could not only give her testimony, but then she could put it in context psychologically of what it means. And you heard her throwing out a lot of sciencey words in there as well, putting what she felt into context.
All right, well, 15 minutes to go before Judge Kavanaugh takes the stand there before that Senate committee. Charlie, for now, thank you very much indeed. Charlie James.